give me shit.
We would not.
Especially here.
See, I'm rarely here, so I don't really care.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Especially the people that like me the most.
That thing we're playing with.
Oh, wait. I know. Oh, the Empire?
I'm Matt. Playing Empire.
Oh, great. So it's like,
Oh, you have to
it's like a song of a run of management.
Well, this isn't there. This isn't there.
No, they have no answer. Nobody has answer. You're allowed to
Here's I say that, it's like building right. How's the focus see that track?
Actually, the focusing is pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with you. No Democrats.
Does it have a like a grip, vertical grip type of thing?
Yeah. I'm just gonna like my home there.
Oh, I see that. That's kind of convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you put that on, right?
Yeah. Out of the. It came with it, but I just stuck it on.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Stabilized it. He just said, "Do you want to use it?"
He said you said you use it.
Oh, look at the boys, look at all the boys.
I know, that's what I was saying. Cover smashing.
Graham is gonna destroy it.
I don't care. It's checkered shirt. Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Not bad. First day back from vacation. Iceland. That sounds awesome. I almost happened.
Were you flying into Atlanta?
No, Iceland Air is their they were going on a
Oh, wow.
actually going early. They handled it really well.
What are you doing? What's happening?
Yes! What's up?
Did you get good weather?
Good. Sure. 32.
Just during the lunch?
Yeah, so we're in here right now. We are, this is. So where do you go?
It's a loner from here.
That's fine. Do you need some? It was going cold.
So we have house 132, 7:30, we can try it. So anyway, she did say, let's plan on having a live afterwards.
They want matters.
It's getting hard.
You'd be in trouble, but
You're right. It's closer to 4,000.
Yeah, 45 of them. All sorts of yelling names. Their cameras are real different from ours. I've
Last
come to
night?
that. It's like closure.
I had a game, I was playing.
Yeah, I bet you it's on the demonstrated.
They were saying it was like
What?
Demonstrated one of them.
time shoot through a yellow filter.
It's the old trade, but I think it's just my sleep. Usually I'm very neutral zone. Push the puck up in the air.
Never. Fender is like, oh, the works. It's just colorful. Like, when we comes from around here, like, it was like, I'm like, I can't sleep, but I'm like, packed full of work.
It's amazing.
Well,
I think we're
they
getting
little room left. That was
Yeah,
like,
later.
my dad, I just bought him for the like 6 hours a day.
Oh, really?
It's like, yeah, it's correct. Like, mom and dad.
Where am I? Oh my God. You really? No, I never did one. Yeah. I'm at a junior college now. I guess that's what
Ever primal didn't even hardly ever.
No way. Yeah. Yeah. She's in my grades.
Oh my God.
What do you already do? I put a lot of like 2007
Yeah, do you play? No, it's hockey.
you know.
Football, hockey, lacrosse. Intern for the conference.
Don't you hate it when you have bad
No,
phones?
but-
Bad-
That's light. It takes up that kind of room.
I live
It's a
in
dying-
box takes up places.
Blog, I saved your positions.
Green sky.
Oh, oh, no. Position forfeited.
There's no house.
I know Joe felt like the ceremony today. They were saying they wouldn't want to do anything. They wouldn't want to do anything before December. And then again, all celebrating maybe safe for the White House. Okay, thank you. Just like you know.
It switched like year after year, starting from when I was a sophomore. I was the only senior. No, two. One's outside. Yeah.
Three covering us.
No gavel, no hammer?
They gotta get those.
Dude, why do you think I put a
I had the next edition and they filled it.
See, you're doing it right now.
Small routes. He still builds on it, I think.
No pressure. These ones just came back.
I'm not feeling the pressure.
Actually, so finally I got this one.
Because
Because
you
you have two other.
kind of helping out.
They tell you everything, you don't put this in your slide. You want it.
Yeah, right.
It's a feature.
It is at the best period right now.
At some point.
Oh, now I can't go around.
Where do you want to go?
Thanks.
Thank you. Because that
Well,
is,
she comes out.
those barricades are so incredibly strong, you could actually put them on the Texas-US border, the Mexico-US border, and that would keep everybody out. You don't need wall, you just need velvet ropes. It says, stay back. Everybody, everybody. It's the universal cross sign, but it's attractive. It's just,
Yeah, there's a lot of things. At least if going to film.
it's a little classier than Please Lie and Do Not Cry.
Maybe two of them. I know.
No one said no. You got it. I'll never get anyone, so say.
What's certainly been the boys' month, hasn't it?
Boys. Yeah, is there AP photographer on either side of that door?
I haven't seen him move that quick in a long
It's a
time.
mystery.
We're not in the World Cup, so somebody's got to show up here.
I'm insecure. I just tell everybody to go the same.
It's great.
Yeah, we've got both sides covered.
Well, that was the Williams Jeopardy.
Well, maybe this time you will. Come on, be on your A game.
Oh, I
Yeah.
You're feeling too much pressure.
I'm on my game. Just not.
Can't find her either.
Student up on the one out.
It's kind of his level.
I'm more also intentional.
Can't stand up.
Alex, make some noise so I know you're working on me.
Or to the same thing, same place or the same story, because this is one that
Scotty's
you
like,
actually use right now.
because you can basically go.
Same story. I mean, same. He was supposed to be at the top of the story.
Somebody should.
We need Jim Walker.
Hey, Susan, let them talk.
I know, right?
Sorry.
It's jealousy.
It is. I'm very jealous. I'll admit it.
It's true.
Yeah, and actually I drove past this good guys though. Tanya, we're
Church. Yeah, there's a computer on that.
And sure enough, somebody was like freaking out trying to park it.
Police out front. Right. I made pictures of him.
I should just leave it alone, I guess, but you can probably dress yourself the same much, but
They don't have. I would not like to involve in place of it.
yeah, you could have dressed with tires, even in mine, it sounds like I saw.
Yeah. I don't leave without that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
You're gonna sit there.
I don't want to block my colleagues. Actually, I would block them if I got a little better before them, but I didn't, so they're fine. Yeah, I did, yeah, thank you. Somebody
Oh, Dana.
took it from the High Park corridor and did something with it for about 24 hours and then
Yeah, it's
returned
really
it.
wild.
Yeah. There was numerous sightings all over the city. I took it off at the luncheon. It's such a cheap job to do it.
You should get a new one for your Christmas gift from EPA this year. You could get one that says Effie.
I could get one that says FAEPA shutters.
Rex.
Rex.
Consolidated.
Flash my phone.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Flash.
Oh, the LEDs.
Yeah, these electronic advertisements.
Less of one club down.
Causes all sorts of problems in the pictures.
Aaron's right there. Like, I've been off since Thanksgiving.
Yeah, if you.
You know, it's not an insult to
typical
you.
with
It's
soccer.
not an insult.
It's just,
It's zero break.
if you look at the little wall around the field, it's now just covered up with screens. Like the whole field is
Successful,
one
yeah,
giant
but
long screen that rests.
Oh, those LED, that's what it's, yeah.
And they are,
Oh, because,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're causing some,
you cannot see
all
their
sorts of
bill.
issues.
Yeah. Oh, this is good.
So I think mechanical shutter has resolved most of the situation with that.
What are they using? What are they using? What are they using for a long lens?
We have adapters and we have some of the fancy lenses that aren't out there. It has 3s and 4s.
Where I'm living in.
Hertz. JC, can you give me my not amazing lens adapter?
Depends which lens you're talking about. With Canon, supposedly it's much better adapter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know
Can you do
that's.
that again? I didn't get it quite.
Adapters is not documented.
Yeah, nothing's crazy.
Not feeling it today?
Yeah, I'm not looking my best.
I'm not sure what our sports guys are doing. If they're shooting night class.
John, I actually wear a tie all the time.
Was the kid up late last night? Oh.
It's hard work.
Standing in front
Is
of
that who
me.
you were chasing?
Half hour.
Alright, so he's just looking up that,
It's funny, I stopped to look at a photo on the newspaper when I was in the hallway on the third floor. You don't need to. You don't need to worry. So, I stopped to look at the paper, I just looked to kind of fold it up to look at the train chases. Where were you looking? Where? Third flat, right outside our office. There's one on the floor. And I started looking at those. I haven't laughed. I'm like, oh, what's the fiction? Yeah, I can understand why this day and age is suspicious of somebody
What was it? What was his reaction?
Oh, he was laughing too. He just thought it was probably stupid.
it's gonna cost you money.
John, going anywhere for Christmas?
That's not right.
No. That was Hollywood. You guys see the Churchill movie? It's good, but it's just a couple inaccuracies, that's all. It's good.
But the acting, you couldn't tell with the acting.
No, I know.
Well, good morning, everyone. Just let me start by saying we're keeping all those impacted by the train derailment in Pierce County, Washington, in our hearts today. It's an ongoing emergency, and you think about people just on their daily commutes, and then the tragedy hits, and just remember to keep them in your thoughts. Today in the People's House, we're preparing to send the Tax Cuts and Jobs bill to the President's desk. The Achieving a Better Life Experience, the ABLE Act, also turns 3 today. And on the day that the House passed the ABLE Act, I remember having my son Cole on the House floor and reflecting on when he was first born. And Brian and I were told at that time, don't put any assets in his name. And I remember as new parents, we thought, boy, that's just the wrong message to be sending parents that are ready just to give their child everything that life had to offer. And as parents, we strive to give our kids the tools they need to pursue their dreams no matter the challenges that they face. Transforming our expectations for people with disabilities is what the ABLE Act is all about. It's marked a new chapter for people with disabilities, one of empowerment, opportunity, and independence. And today, It's fitting to reflect on those words again as the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act carries on the legacy of the ABLE Act. It will allow individuals to roll over funds from a 529 account, savings account, to an ABLE account so that they can pay for ongoing expenses. It also allows for able to work so that individuals can save more of their own money as they explore the workforce and find good paying jobs. From the very beginning, our focus has been pro-family, pro-economic growth so that everyone will have the opportunity for a better life and the opportunity to reach their full potential. This legislation nearly doubles the standard deduction to make more of what you earn tax-free. It lowers the rates across the board so that small businesses and job creators invest here at home, not overseas. And it eliminates costly special interest loopholes and instead puts families first. Under this plan, the average family of four making $73,000 will see an over $2,000 tax cut. I'd like to thank the conferees from the House and the Senate, everyone that was involved in making this happen. And despite the defenders of the status quo that are using every tired, scared tactic in the book to delay progress and divide the American people, our conferees have worked hard to meet our goal for more jobs, fairer taxes, and bigger paychecks. Americans sent us here to do the big things, and that includes fixing a broken tax code. This really is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to provide a brighter future to all Americans. We're keeping that promise, and we're excited to move forward today. I'm also pleased that Representative Neil Dunn could join us today. He's from Florida's 2nd District. He has legislation on the floor today that's helping veterans get jobs in the STEM fields. He's also been a great advocate for fixing our broken tax code and helping hardworking men and women in his district.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. This truly is an exciting and historic day for our country. For many of us, the vote we cast today is the principal reason we came here to serve, to get our economy going, to put Americans back to work, and put more money in their paychecks. For those across the country who still doubt that this legislation will help the middle class, all you have to do is read it. I direct your attention to Fair and Simple GOP. Or fairandsimple.gop. It really will cut the taxes and help hardworking families make ends meet. I want to thank all of my colleagues who worked so hard on this bill to make this dream a reality. But most especially, I want to thank Chairman Kevin Brady and Speaker Paul Ryan, who bore the largest part of this challenge. This is good medicine for America. Thank you very much.
When the doctor said it's good medicine, you don't need a second opinion on that. This is really an exciting day for hardworking families who have called on Congress for years to simplify the tax code so that they can have more money in their pockets, so that we can get this economy going again, so we can bring jobs back to America that have left, and to finally create a code that's so simple that over 90% of families can actually do their taxes on a postcard. We're delivering that relief to all of those hardworking families today. This is an historic vote for a lot of reasons, but one, we proved just how big we can do things if we come together as a team, just how big we can deliver a win for the American people when we come together as a team. If you look at how long it's taken for us to get to a point like that, you have to go all the way back to 1986. When Ronald Reagan was signing the last reform of our tax code back in 1986, he talked about how hard it was and how all the naysayers said it couldn't be done. But Ronald Reagan never gave up. And ultimately, on the day he signed the bill, he read a headline that said, "The impossible became the inevitable." And I want to thank President Trump for having that same must-do, can-do attitude where he never gave up. He kept working with us every step of the way to get to this point where we're going to pass this bill in the House, and the Senate's going to pass this bill too, and then he can sign a bill that's going to provide that relief for hardworking taxpayers who have for so long wanted a tax code that works for them, who have so long have wanted to have more money in their pockets so that they can have a better shot at living the American dream. That starts today with this historic tax cut vote. Every week we come here, make our statements, and wait for your questions. Today I'd like to start with a question to you. Did you believe we'd ever be at this day with this bill on this floor with the outcome we know that's going to happen?
Let's see a show of hands.
So many times you would listen to us to talk about bringing back the American comeback. The bill today is for everyone who could not find a job, for everyone who did not get a raise, for every single parent, for every small business owner, for everyone who ever dreamed of being that entrepreneur, for every time you wondered why another business left America to go to another country. This is America's comeback. This is the beginning. This is the opportunity. So when you pass this bill today and we pass it in the Senate and it's signed into law, for every American, they need to check their check next year, because the answer will be there. There will be more in their paycheck. They will know that no longer do they send it to Washington, they send it to their home, that they have an opportunity. This is an opportunity that we have fought for a long time. So as I started with that question, maybe you'll write the answer. Maybe you didn't believe we'd ever get here. But next year will be different. America will be different because of what we do today.
First of all, I want to join Kathy in just saying how saddened we are by the terrible loss of life in DuPont, Washington. And our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the people who are injured. And our thanks go out to the first responders who are attending to this terrible accident in Washington. Kathy also talked about how tax reform is going to help people with disabilities. It kind of gets to the heart of what this is all about. This is about expanding opportunity to people who are striving to make the most of their lives. The reason we're here doing this is because we want people to reach their potential. And we know in this country we're not reaching our potential. And we know one of the greatest things we can do to do that is pass this tax reform bill. With this tax reform, families at every income level get a tax cut, but especially middle-income families. The typical family of four making the typical income of $73,000 will get a tax cut of $2,059. Let me repeat that. The typical family of four making the median family income gets a $2,059 tax cut next year. This is real relief. This is real relief, and people are going to see this in their paychecks before too long. Look, you've all heard us say it, but it is very true. More than half the people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck. Almost another half are people who are telling us that they're about one paycheck away from living paycheck to paycheck. There's real economic anxiety in America. But there's so much potential for our people, for our country, for our economy. Small businesses and Main Street businesses, that's where most of the jobs come from. They get real relief in addition to the families. Workers are going to get a more level playing field. That's going to boost wages. That's going to bring more jobs back home. This is going to make such a positive difference in the lives of everyday working Americans from all walks of life. Whether this is your first term or your 10th term, this is why we are here. And this is what I'm excited about this moment. We, in 2016, laid out and articulated a vision for what we think is necessary to get this country back on its track. We spent all of our time together in our majority. Here's what it's going to take to get America back on its feet. Here's what it's going to take to help people who are struggling. Here's what it's going to take to get this economy out of the malaise it's been for a decade to get true growth, to hit our potential. And we're doing it today. This is the greatest example of a promise being made and a promise being kept. It's been a long, long time. It's an honor to be Speaker of the House to see this. The last time this got done, the job I had, I was working the Quarter Pounder Grill at McDonald's at the intersection of Highway 14 and 990 in Janesville, Wisconsin. It's a long time in coming, and that's why we're so excited to see this happen, because we know this is going to help people, we know this is going to grow our economy, and we know it's going to most of all help the people who are struggling in this country. And that's why we're very, very excited about this historic day. Any questions?
Mr. Speaker, this bill, despite what you've just outlined, remains deeply unpopular. Any concern that this won't translate into a political win for Republicans?
No concerns whatsoever. I got to say, if people are out there on TV telling mistruths, disguising the facts of this thing, that's going to make it unpopular. As I mentioned before, and Steve shows the polling. Sorry, it's funny when that happened.
18% of Americans before the Reagan tax cuts thought they were going to get a tax cut. Look, when you have a sling fest, a mud fest on TV, when pundits are slamming each other about this tax bill before it passes, that's what's going to happen. But when we get this done, when people see their withholding improving, when they see the jobs occurring, when they see bigger paychecks, a fair tax system, a simpler tax code, that's what's going to produce the results. Results are going to make this popular. Alan. Yeah, big database, the Leviathan. I've read the books. Look, that's a Hobbesian term. This evidence-based policy is very good reform. And by the way, it is done to get ahead of privacy protections. The board that we put together were privacy advocates as well. So what you want to do is get in front of big data to make sure that individual privacy protections are maintained with standards across all of government. But isn't it just rational that we should measure whether or not our policies are working or not? How many times in Washington have you seen an effort-based, an input-based policy approach? What I mean when I say that is, we seem to measure success around here, especially on poverty-fighting programs. How much money are we spending? How many people are going on the programs? Instead of asking the right question, is it working? Are we producing the results we want to produce? Are we actually getting people out of poverty? Well, now we have the technology. Now we have the data to actually allow researchers to see whether or not what we do works around here, to see whether or not we are spending taxpayer dollars efficiently. And given the fact that we have technology, let's get ahead of the privacy protections to make sure that people's privacy protections are protected. And I do believe we think we can get it done. Yeah. Oh, look, I am not going anywhere anytime soon, and just let's leave that thing at that. Wong. Because I actually think that piece was very irresponsible. It was a speculative piece, and it was faulty speculation, and I wanted to put it to rest. So, yeah. Yeah, so it's a really good question, actually. So we have these low unemployment rates and statistics, but yet we have slow growth. So how does that factor? Well, look behind that statistic. What those unemployment rates are not taking into account, the fact that there are tens of millions of able-bodied adults in America who are not looking for work, who are not at work, who are not in school to get a skill to go to work. So we are going to focus next year on people, on getting people from welfare to work, on making sure people get the skills they need to get the jobs they want and get the careers that get them the life they need. But more to the point, we have not had a 3% economy since before the last recession, the Great Recession. Tax reform will get us a 3% economy. And never forget the fact that in a 21st century economy, we have to be competitive with other countries. And when we tax ourselves basically with the worst tax code in the industrialized world, we're doing great damage to the American economy, which hurts workers, which hurts upward mobility. Fixing the tax code will help us get that 3% economy. You get that faster economic growth, guess what? It bids up wages. It produces more careers. It pulls people who are on the sidelines, able-bodied people, not even being counted by the unemployment statistics, into the workforce. That's why it helps. One more.
Tim Murphy is home in southwest Pennsylvania. Blake Farenthold is going to stay through the end of next year. John Conyers is home in Detroit. Ruben Keelan is going to stay through the end of next year. Can you assess sort of how these decisions get made and going forward?
It's a completely legitimate question. First of all, each of these members make their own decisions on how to proceed. But that's why we have asked Greg Harper and other members on a bipartisan basis to come up with standards, come up with a system. We need to update and upgrade the Congressional Accountability Act. That is now happening. You're going to see Chairman Harper roll out a slew of reforms to upgrade this law so that we have standards, so that we have the right kind of transparency. And when you get into this, you have to also keep in mind the victims themselves. What is it that what they need to protect their interests and their equities? So that's why we've taken some time to make sure that we get this right. You saw that we passed mandatory training. Those regulations on how to put that mandatory training in place is coming due this week. And then you're also going to see the House Administration Committee put out a whole new slew of reforms So we have basic standards so that we can go forward with a new updated law that actually respects this issue for what it is. Thank you.